Hey everybody, this is Anthony from VR Game Rankings, and welcome to another episode of our daily vlog series. This is, of course, Monday, November 6th. I hope everybody had a good weekend. I hope you guys set back your clocks. You got an extra hour of sleep, of course, if you're here in the USA. I know it's always weird when we turn back the clocks. It seems like it takes me a couple of days to get adjusted to the situation. I know it was like 8:30 a.m. this morning, and I went to go get a smoothie. I get these green smoothies. We have a grocery store near us called Nugget, and they make these really good green smoothies with like kale and spinach, but they also put like apple and banana and pineapple juice and stuff in it. It's really good, and it's probably a relatively healthy. I mean, there is a lot of sugar in there, but the spinach and kale is good. And I was over there at about 8:30, but it didn't feel like 8:30. It felt like 9:30, and it does take a while to get used to the 1 hour time change. I mean, people are in different parts of the world. I know Gary, when we did our VR Roundtable episode 60, which is also available today, you can go ahead and check out episode 60 of VR Roundtable. I don't think they've turned their clocks back yet, but I think they are going to be turning them back. So we kind of have a little bit of a time difference, and people in different parts of the world, you know, some people don't turn their clocks back or make any changes to their clocks. I'm pretty sure Arizona does not participate in daylight savings whatsoever. But it's always interesting when it's that time of the year. But let's go ahead and get into the news. Not a ton of stories today, but I do have a few things to get into. Once again, we are doing shorter daily vlogs. At least that is the plan going forward. I'm looking more at 25 minutes being the length of our daily vlogs. And you know, we kind of just take it from there. I mean, obviously, if I have a lot more to cover and it's exciting, good information, I might go a little bit longer. And then some days we might not have as much. We might only go 20 minutes. So we're going to kind of play it by ear as far as that goes. But the number one story for today is Audio Factory by Google. Now, this was released yesterday, and it was released on Steam. So Audio Factory is a VR experience. It actually is coming over from Daydream. This is a Daydream port, and this VR experience will showcase the spatial audio capabilities of the Resonance Audio SDK by Google. Explore each floor to experience how spatial audio contributes to the VR immersion. Requires headphones, Bluetooth not supported, and it requires either Vive or Oculus touch controllers. So now I haven't been able to try this out. I would have liked to have tried it out this morning, didn't get around to it. Just found out about it this morning. I didn't see it yesterday, even though it was up yesterday. I have heard that it only lasts about 5 minutes, but it is still a very cool demonstration of doing audio. Lots of different companies are working on all kinds of different ways to do audio with VR and make it have a more realistic sound to it, because really audio is probably one of the most underrepresented things that we got going on in terms of people are so focused on the visuals. We spend so much time talking about the graphics of various games. We don't spend a lot of time talking about the audio. And it's really unfortunate because really good audio can really take an experience to another level. I can tell you Heart of the Emberstone has really good audio effects, and it also has good audio effects, but it's the 3D nature of the audio is really good in Heart of the Emberstone. They will make a sound like it's coming from over in that corner, or if it's coming up there. They will give it that positional sound where you can get into a lot of VR games. They don't do a very good job of that at all. In fact, one of the worst was Soul Keeper VR. I remember being in some of the areas in Soul Keeper VR. The sound, to me, it seemed like it had no 3D audio support whatsoever, so noises weren't coming from any direction, which is just really wrong. and more attention needs to be paid towards audio. And so I definitely will try this out later today. Actually, after this is over with, I'm going to go ahead and try this out. So I'll probably talk really briefly about Audio Factory tomorrow, but there's a lot of different audio SDKs. I know Oculus was working on some of their own audio techniques. I believe Valve has some of their own specific audio techniques. So it's kind of like we've got all these different companies that are trying these different audio SDKs, and it'll be interesting to see if one particular audio SDK just becomes the standard and that's what everybody uses. But whatever the case may be, it would be nice if more attention was paid to audio, because I just don't think it really gets that much love. The next big story I have is SuperHyperCube is coming out on Steam tomorrow. And this is kind of funny because SuperHyperCube was a launch game for PlayStation VR. Me and Steve talked about this game on some of the VR Roundtable episodes, I'm sure. And we both liked this game quite a bit, but we also both thought that it was way overpriced at $30. It's a puzzle game, and you're going to sit in a chair and you're going to hold a controller. And what it is it's kind of like a 3D version of Tetris, where you have to turn these shapes and adjust them to fit them through a hole in the wall. You guys remember that TV show? I forget what it was. Was it Wipeout? Or, there used to be this TV show where like a hole in the wall would come towards people and they had to like move their bodies or whatever to try to get through the hole without being smacked into the water. I believe they did that on Wipeout, but I don't know if it might have been called Hole in the Wall, like some separate show. And then NBC, I think, had a show called Wipeout where they kind of stole part of that. But that's kind of what SuperHyperCube is. You'll start out with a very simple cube and a very simple square hole, and you just put the cube through the hole and it's no big deal. But then you start getting all these different shapes, and you have to basically like twist your 3D object around, rotate it in all kinds of different ways, and then fit it through that hole. And if you don't fit it through the hole, it smashes, it explodes, and you have to start over. And SuperHyperCube is a pretty fun puzzle game, but like I said, me and Steve, we enjoyed the game, but we thought the $30 price was a little bit much, because there's just, you play it for a while and you're like, yeah, this is fun, but I don't know that it's $30 fun. Well, the good news is this isn't going to be $30. It's going to be $15. So they are chopping the price in half, which is, I think, a really good idea, because I think there'd be a major backlash from a lot of Vive players and Steam players that would think $30 for this kind of a simple puzzle game, it doesn't compute. So they're dropping the price to $15, and the PlayStation VR price is also going to drop to $15. So if you happen to be a PlayStation VR owner and you never picked up SuperHyperCube, $15, I can recommend it for $15. It was a hard recommendation for $30, but $15, I can absolutely recommend SuperHyperCube. There was a demo on PlayStation VR. I'm not sure if there will be a demo on Steam. It would be a good idea if there would. Now, is this game coming to the Oculus Rift? No, it is not officially anyways. Okay, so the developer of the game, Coco Romy, this is Phil Fish, I believe, is part of this. They had a major problem with Palmer Luckey. Do you remember back when there was all that drama with Palmer Luckey and Nimble Rich Man, and that whole thing that came out, like, man, was that like a year ago that all this happened? I think it was a year ago. A number of developers came out and said, we're not going to support Oculus Rift. We're not putting our, they kind of were outspoken. And Coco Romy, I believe, was one of these very outspoken developers that said, we're not putting our game on that. And so it's not going to come onto the Oculus Rift store. As far as we know, though, unless they really went out of their way to try to bork the game for Oculus Rift players, it should work just fine, because, again, this is a seated controller game, and there's not a lot of other stuff going on. So I would imagine you have an Oculus Rift headset, you sit in your chair, you use an Xbox controller. I would think it would work absolutely fine. So it should work okay, but I guess we'll find out for sure tomorrow. Oculus Rift owners will definitely report on that. But it's interesting on the SuperHyperCube thing because I remember many, many months ago, they tweeted out that SuperHyperCube was coming to the Vive. I think they had a picture where it showed like it was like a SuperHyperCube screenshot, but it had like a picture of Vive controllers. And they tweeted it out like it was going to be coming out any day, and then we never heard anything about it, and it completely disappeared for the longest time. Well, here it is again. It's coming out tomorrow on November 7th. Now, you also have to remember we have another major game coming to the HTC Vive tomorrow, and that is Killing Floor Incursion, which I truly believe is one of the better VR games that we got this year. It is very much a horror game, incredibly visceral. It will trigger that fight or flight response. So it's definitely not the right game for everybody, but definitely don't forget about Killing Floor Incursion, which is also going to release tomorrow. And on PlayStation, I think they have, is it League of War, Arena VR? That should be out tomorrow as well. So we do have a number of releases coming out on November 7th. Let's see here. The next news story we got. Reboant, Rise of the New Horde has a Steam page. So way back on July 27th, we had a story on VR Game Rankings where we were talking about Reboant. And this was the China Joy show in China, where it's like a trade show, almost like a Paris Games Week or something like that, but in China. This was back in the summer in late July. And at the China Joy show, it's more known among VR gamers for a lot of PlayStation VR games that have been shown off there from various Chinese developers that are working on various PlayStation VR games. A lot of different PlayStation VR games had been announced at the China Joy show, but at this particular show as well, HTC was there, and apparently a number of the HTC representatives that were there at the show, they were telling people that they have this incredible AAA experience that is going to really knock people's socks off. And apparently this was behind closed doors. They were showing Reboant, Rise of the New Horde. And so I heard about this way back around July 27th. I heard about this story about how they were kind of ranting and raving that this might be the first true legit AAA game for the Vive. Now, this is a long time ago, and we have since had some relative AAA type fare that has come to the Vive, but back then they were saying, you know, this is a real banger of a title. At least the HTC representatives were saying that. All we saw was a video that was pretty much 100% CGI, so we really didn't get much information about that. But it does now have a Steam page, and it's funny because the Steam page was just put up like yesterday, but it says coming October 2017. Well, October is gone. So when is this game coming? We don't know. How much is it going to cost? We don't know. And honestly, this game could be a complete disaster, or it could be a really big surprise. So we really don't know too much about it. The one thing that I noticed, though, is it does require a 2.5 meter by 2.5 meter play space. So it does have a requirement for that room scale, which could make it problematic for people that have an Oculus Rift with two sensors. It doesn't, this is one of these games where it's not talking about any kind of Oculus Rift support. So it's going to be kind of like SuperHyperCube, where hopefully it'll work for Rift players, but it's not going to have any actual dialed in support where controls are going to be figured out and that sort of thing. That's where you can kind of get into some problems with some of these games, is when the controls just don't translate very well. But we'll hopefully see some more information on Reboant, Rise of the New Horde in the next few days, or in the coming weeks at least. Maybe it will come out this November, because they're saying it's going to be available October 2017. So maybe this will be available any day now, and it's just going through the process of getting onto Steam. So we'll have to keep our eye on that. TP Cast pre-orders for the Oculus Rift version have begun, at least in the United Kingdom, it has begun. Overclockers UK has it listed on their website, available for pre-order for £350, which sounds like an incredible high price for just a wireless adapter. That's like the price of a freaking headset all by itself. If that is the price, £350. I might have that information incorrect, but man, that sounds crazy expensive. But it does appear that the Oculus Rift version is going to start being available for pre-order. Again, one of the things about TP Cast is like, why isn't there like just an official release date and the thing just comes out? Why is it so clandestine? It's like you got to be like a detective to try to figure out when these TP Cast things are actually shipping, when they're not shipping. It's kind of, it's just not the way that you would like it to be. I thought that I would be incredibly tempted by jumping on some type of wireless adapter, but I haven't really been tempted because it isn't like I can just go to Amazon and buy one of these things for $250 or for $200 or whatever. And then I don't even really know what the price is actually. I need to probably look into this TP Cast thing a little bit more, but I kind of decided that I was going to leave this wireless adapter alone. And the main reason I want to leave it alone is because it does not have any kind of forward compatibility for higher resolution. So next year, if I end up with a higher resolution headset, I would be kind of, out of luck if I got a TP Cast. So I'm going to kind of pass on this. But yeah, it just seems like they haven't done a very good job of bringing this out to the retail market and making it just a known commodity with a known price and it being available. It's kind of weird how that's been working out, but it is good that they do have an Oculus Rift version. It's kind of a shame that they don't have a version that just works for both, because I know there's a number of us out there that have Rifts and Vives, and we would like to be able to use it with both of them. Of course, it would be kind of a pain in the ass to have to take it off of one, put it on the other, and all of that sort of thing. Another little quick news story we got is the PlayStation VR Skyrim bundle has been announced, and it will be available on November 17th for $450. Now, this package includes 2 Move controllers, it includes a camera, it includes the retail version of Skyrim. It also includes a number of DLC add-ons for Skyrim, although to the best of my knowledge, those will not be VR supported, at least not in the beginning. But it also includes an updated demo disc with 13 demos on it. And I'm very curious about this updated demo disc, because it's possible they could get demos for games that we have not seen these demos anywhere. Maybe they'll have a demo for Moss or for Star Child or for The Impatient or who knows what. There could be some demos in there that could be interesting. And the other major thing, though, is this does include the brand new headset. So this is the new revision. Remember, we had that story last week about the Gran Turismo bundle, and people looked into the Gran Turismo bundle and investigated it and found out that it still contains the old headset. Well, this new bundle, this is on PlayStation blog. This is on their official blog. It does include the new headset. So if you've been waiting for the new PlayStation VR headset, you will be able to guarantee that if you get this Skyrim bundle. Now, the price $450, there's no discount here. You would think it would be $400 and you're getting Skyrim for free to kind of give people an incentive to jump out there, buy a PSVR. $400. I thought the PSVR price was starting to come down, but I guess not. I guess the $399 price that they normally have for it, I guess that's going to be the normal price going forward. And then they're adding another $50 on here to kind of cover Skyrim. But we did have that story last week about the Target Cartwheel deal where you could get the old PSVR headset for $225. Now, I'm pretty sure this was the core unit without the camera, without the moves, but still, I feel like the PlayStation VR price needs to come down. I really do. I think you should be able to get the core PSVR at this point in time for $299. I think it would make it a much better seller. And, we'll have to see about that. A new TV commercial was also debuted featuring Skyrim VR. And I've seen this commercial. You can watch it on YouTube. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Batman Arkham VR commercial that they had running last year that you would see oftentimes last fall. And so this appears to be their new fall commercial for PlayStation VR. And it's pretty decent. I honestly think they could have probably done maybe a slightly better commercial for VR, but it's not bad. It's not a horrible commercial by any stretch of the imagination. But hey, we are at, it is November 6th now. And November 17th is the release of Skyrim VR. And I can tell you that if you go to the PlayStation VR subreddit, it is Skyrim VR all the time. You know how it was Pimax all the time on the Vive and Oculus subreddits for a number of days there? Every other thread was Pimax this, Pimax that. Well, if you go to the PlayStation VR subreddit, it is non-stop Skyrim VR discussion. They're counting down the days until the release of Skyrim. They're talking about, are you going to do this in Skyrim? Are you going to do that? I've seen some posts where people are complaining about, wait a minute, Skyrim has giant spiders. What are we going to do about these giant spiders? I'm not going to be able to play Skyrim because of these giant spiders. I have a spider phobia as well. And I can tell you the thing that my personal phobia with spiders is like, I can see all kinds of spiders. They don't bother me that much. Like we get these big wolf spiders. They're these hairy spiders. They're big and they jump. Like they can jump like you wouldn't believe. And they look kind of scary, but they don't bother me. Okay, they don't bother me because the kind of spider that bothers me is like a black widow kind of spider with that really big butt, and the way they have those long legs, just the classic black widow type spider, that scares the living daylights out of me. Tarantula looking spiders kind of scare me as well, but your regular average everyday spider actually does not bother me. But I don't know what I'm going to do in Skyrim when I first encounter one of these giant spiders, because in Rush of Blood, it freaked me the hell out. There is a particular level in Rush of Blood. I don't mean to spoil this, but there is a level in Rush of Blood that is basically spider level. And it was very difficult to get through that level. I was jumping around. I flinged my headset off a number of times. Just super massive games just did such a damn good job with Rush of Blood. And they do have the Impatient coming on November 22nd. So that's another big release coming in this month of November for PlayStation VR. But yeah, Skyrim, the hype is definitely at a fever pitch on the PSVR subreddit, and they're really looking forward to that. Okay, the Halo VR fan project is shaping up rather well. You know, this is something that has shown up on the Vive subreddit. Now, this is coming from Sony, and I remembered the name Sony, and I'm like, that sounds familiar. Where do I know this Sony? This is the guy that did that Sonic demonstration, the Sonic VR demonstration that you can download. And I tried the Sonic thing. Now, the Sonic thing, honestly, it made me queasy. Like, there were certain situations where you would do your Sonic jump, and I would be looking, while I'm jumping, I would look down or something, and it just, it did not work with my stomach. And also the whole, having to do this to move your Sonic guy, it got kind of tiring. It was basically an exercise thing, if you really want to know the truth. But that's the guy, Sony. He did the Sonic thing, and so now he's working on this Halo VR fan project. And I'm actually excited about this because the Master Chief Collection came out on Xbox One a while back, and they kind of remastered Halo 1. They really remastered Halo 2, but they kind of remastered Halo 1. I've always kind of thought replaying Halo 1 in VR would be super cool. And one of the reasons I'm reminded of that is actually Heart of the Emberstone. You know, in Heart of the Emberstone, when you get close to one of the doors and the doors opens up and it's like, and the door opens up, it kind of reminds me of some of those doors in Halo. You know, when you're going down those Halo hallways and you get to the door and then the door opens up. So, I mean, playing the original Halo game remade for VR would be incredibly cool. I don't know that like this one dude can do this, and then how is he going to get this out there without it being shut down? Because he's using a lot of sound effects, actual legitimate Halo sound effects in this game, and he's using some actual Halo assets. So I'm not sure how this is going to come out or in what way it's going to come out. Of course, he could just throw it up on like some type of itch.io thing where people can quickly download it, very similar to that Sonic thing or similar to the Spider-Man experience that was out there for a while. Now, you can't find that anywhere now, so I don't know if like Marvel sent a cease and desist letter to the guy that did the Spider-Man thing. And I don't know about the Sonic thing. I don't know if you can still find the Sonic thing. I don't know if Sega put the clamps down on that. But obviously, this Halo VR fan project, Microsoft's not going to look too kindly upon that. So I'm not sure when this is going to come out or in what form it's going to come out. Or is it just a quick little demo? Are there actual multiple levels? Like, I don't know anything about this, but if it really does work out and we can actually kind of play Halo 1 in VR, that would be freaking cool. That would be super cool. It's something, honestly, that Microsoft should be doing themselves. And think about, I've said it before with the Microsoft mixed reality headsets, why don't they have anything that tempts people to get a Microsoft account and to go into their store and to think about getting one of these headsets? They don't have anything tempting anybody. There's no Forza 7 VR. There's no Super Lucky's Tale VR. Man, if they had a complete remake of Halo 1 in VR, that would cause a ton of people to want to sign up and maybe grab a Microsoft mixed reality headset. But, you know, they just haven't done anything with that. I guess we can just hope that going forward, maybe Microsoft will look at this as a possible idea, remaking Halo for VR. You know, it's a way to cash in on some of your old properties, and the game is already done. You just have to kind of like fix it for VR. Remember, we got that Half-Life 2 VR mod that's supposed to be coming at some time. Arrowin X, if you're watching this, I've been talking with Arrowin X for months, and he always brings up Half-Life 2 VR, you know, the mod that's supposed to come out anytime. And I've always told him, I've said, hey man, I don't know why, but I just feel like this thing is going to be perpetually delayed. Like, the day that this Half-Life 2 VR mod is actually out and people are like talking about it on Reddit and they're like, oh my God, the Half-Life 2 VR mod is out. Like, that's going to be a shocking day for me, because for some reason I feel like Valve might have like some secret plans that they're just not ready to reveal, but they're not going to let this Half-Life 2 VR mod come out. I mean, maybe I'm just completely off track here, but how many months have we been thinking this Half-Life 2 VR mod would come out? I think we were talking about this in the summer, weren't we? I'm pretty sure we were talking about this back in June and July. Like, this Half-Life 2 VR mod could come in June or July. It could come in maybe August. Well, here we are. Now we're in November. Months keep going by, and we still don't have this Half-Life 2 VR mod. So that's kind of interesting. But I'm well past the 25-minute mark, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the show now. Once again, this has been episode 26 for Monday, November 6th. This is VR Game Rankings Daily Vlog Series, and I will see you guys tomorrow on Tuesday. Take it easy. Later.